Welcome to the Business Benchmark Group podcast, where you'll learn how to think strategically about your business and discover that while business is not easy, it doesn't need to be hard. With over 20 years experience in turning stalling businesses into thriving enterprises, here is your host, Stefan, the founder and CEO of Business Benchmark Group.
Hi, I'm Stefan from Business Benchmark Group, and I welcome you to our next episode of our podcast series, Business Benchmark Group, and the sharing of what does it take to actually build an A-grade business. I guess if you ever walk down the corridors and or hang out with the Business Benchmark Group, you'll understand that building and growing and continuously referencing what does an A-grade business, what does an A-grade team, what does an A-grade customer actually look like, what does an A-grade supplier actually look like. You'll know that it's the blood that runs within our veins. And let me just say this, I guess, perfection is not the game that you wish to be playing. Progression and continuously moving something in the right direction is. The whole concept of Kaizen, a Japanese word which stands for continuous improvement. So how is it and what are they? The four components that go into building an A-grade business. Ultimately, it takes an A-grade business to deliver us an A-grade quality of life as well. So, making sure that those two aspects are always kept in harmony. I'm Stefan I look forward to, again, just sharing and continuously sharing. We don't do where's the next magic trick here at Business Benchmark Group. We are so focused in being in the corner for you, helping you, partnering you, as we also partner each other within our organisation to ensure everybody has that journey towards a better and greater business, no doubt a better and greater quality of life. I'm Stefan Kazakis. The whole thing about succession planning and exit strategy, and regardless where you feel or what you may be, I guess, communicating in your own mind right now, where are you at in that journey, or where are you as far as, are you at that whole aspect of learning? Are you at that aspect of earning? Are you at that aspect of giving back? Are you at that aspect of ultimately, moving away from things that, enough's enough, this has got to change? And you're moving more towards, now I'm ultimately moving towards things that are a little higher, a little scarier, but I'm going for it. The clarity around all that comes down to one key influence. And the key influence is nothing more, nothing less than this thing called an A-grader, A-graders. So there's four key aspects to creating a business, a life that ultimately is a success, ultimately has an opportunity to be a legacy. This thing called A-graders. There's four key components to being an A-grader. But I'm going to come more from the business perspective, if that's okay, because it is a business forum here this morning, although life is the outcome. The number one aspect of being an A-grader in a business, the most important one of them all, is the business owner. Is the business owner an A-grader? Do they have a very clear understanding of who they are and what they do for the people they choose to do it for? See, if the owner is misaligned about what they're being an A-grade option for, being the customer that is, because that's the first one we start with, then the chances of misalignment and learning along the way or opportunity missed and lost along the way is constantly going to be turning up, and therefore we're always in survival mode. I've always got to get enough business to get me through the month. I've got to pay my rent, I've got to pay the mortgage, I've got to pay my salary, if I dare get one, as a business owner, right? So the business owner must be an A-grader. So you've got to constantly be asking yourself, am I or am I not an A-grader? The next most important aspect of what needs to be an A-grade in your business is this thing called team. And we have heard a little bit about team from both Grant and Julie this morning, but I come back to you guys, regardless of where you're at in your curve of growth, your curve of business, whether you are a $20 million business, and there's some of you in this room, or you are a $300,000 startup business, and there's some of you in this room, it makes no difference. We have zero prejudice as to who you are and what you're doing, as long as you have a belief to be an A-grader at some point. So this whole thing about team and attracting A-graders, developing and growing, nurturing, showing them what you know, and ultimately they might even show you what they know, has got to be A-grade. People on your team are always promotable or deselected. You never ever need to lose people from a point of, I am firing you. Does that make sense? If you have clarity around what is it that they need to be responsible to, be accountable to, and what is it that they take ownership for, you are going to be building a team that ultimately succeeds you. Now that is the outcome. It's got to be. So these are two very critical components of building a business that is an A-grade business that ultimately has some sort of chance to live a legacy, right? Suppliers. You cannot be an A-grade business dealing with a D-grade supplier. You cannot have people on your team supplying you the bits and pieces, the moving parts in your business that help you deliver your service or your product and not have A-grade suppliers on your team. Buying cheap in terms of cheap product and expecting an A-grade customer to be the recipient of it at some point will cause problems in your business. Does that make sense? And the last and most important are the customers themselves. Are they within your definition, because you are the owner here, you are the leader of this business, and if you are not leading it, then no one's following it, right? Are you attracting your A-grade clients to be doing business with you? Are you doing whatever it takes to have them come back and back and back? In other words, a repeat business model so that they are constantly buying you every single time. Are they even comfortable enough to be bringing their best friend or friends to you by virtue of a repeat and referral-based business, which is the most successful business model in the world? You are building something that is definitely got a stronger chance for exit strategy and or succession plan. And I will say this, without these three things being A-grade, that will never be. So without an owner being an A-grader, without the team continuously being better today than they were yesterday, without a supply chain that is considered to be A-grade, you will not have a customer being served in terms of them being an A-grade customer. Does that make sense? So without these three, you cannot have that. This is not just something you walk away from with a 2-minute explanation and think, I've got it, I've worked it out. This is constant, ever improvement work. Does that make sense? It's the notion of Kaizen. It's the notion of every other day I will be 1% better. I will hold myself to higher account than anyone else does. Does that make sense? Jim Rohn. Who's familiar with Jim Rohn? Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. That is the key to success, guys. If you want to enjoy what the top life in life has to offer, the top shelf of life, you need to climb on the books you read to enjoy that. You've got to learn before you earn at the highest level. So, if you don't put yourself out there to be building an A-grade business and ultimately attracting A-grade customers that never leave you, you will not be in a position of execution regarding an exit strategy for which you can live and survive on the proceeds from. Last and not least, make your decisions on truth, not fear. You must make your decisions. When you think about your succession plan, what is it that defines you? What is it that's important to you? How is it that we're progressing it? What is it that might turn up and we need to have a plan B for? What are the team that we're growing and are they the right team? What are the decisions that the business owner needs to now put himself or herself into a point of that's unfamiliar, that they need to go and get some education, some research, some curiosity, some advisory teams? You need to be making your decisions on truth and not fear. There's no such thing as, oh yeah, but maybe. There's no such, I'm gonna. There's no such thing as, oh yeah, no, she's okay. Or he's okay. There's no such thing as okay. That's mediocrity. Mediocrity is going to get in the way of what could be an executed plan today, not tomorrow. So you've got to be thinking. When it comes to those 4 key areas in your business, they're either plus ones or they're minus ones. That's your scoreboard. The people, which is the greatest power and resource in your business. The people. See, there's nothing here that tells me it's a machine. I can go and get A-grade machines. It still needs people to press on. Still needs people to press off. You got that? So your scoreboard, and you need to be brutally honest, they're either a plus one or they're a minus one. There's no such thing as give us a score out of 5, because the way I might score out of 5 versus you might be very different. Does that make sense? But when it's plus 1, minus 1, you have nowhere to go but to be brutally honest. And this is how you grow something that ultimately delivers a succession plan. It's about you and the decision of leadership that you take. It's about you and your decision that says, I'm not going to be the best employee in this business anymore. I'm going to contribute, maybe for 60% of my time, but I'm going to become a better business manager. I'm going to become a greater business owner. I will back myself to go and buy the second business with a different business model. See, one of the things that Julie didn't share this morning, and it's been on the table for at least 2 years in conversation, was the whole online shopping expansion. We're just about to roll that out from our destination in Warrandyte, for which the people in Woodend may not need to be driving once every fortnight. We'll swap. We'll go 1 week, they can come 1 week. Wouldn't that be cool? Just increase your number of transactions by 4. Right? So the key to growing a business that is about succession planning, about exit strategy, about growth, and it's not just about profit, right? Profit comes if you do everything else. If you've got passion, and you've got purpose, you have power. Does that make sense? If you believe in the people that you will bring with you, and they ultimately believe in you, no matter what your leadership style is, and it may be just assertive, or it may be just fluffy, if you are clear about your purpose, you move mountains. Does that make sense? And ultimately what you may be thinking, the dream big stuff, the think big stuff, it turns up. It turns up not because you deserve it. It turns up because that is your journey. And guess what's happened to the dream when that turns up? There's a new version of the dream. A dream never stops. A windscreen never says it's a brick wall, turn back. Why would you do that? Why would you be driving towards a brick wall? So your business, your life is no different. Hierarchy of values is a big one. The hierarchy of values is a critical one. Be honest with yourself. Don't feel like you've got another chance. Don't feel that there's another decade. Don't feel, oh, I'm young, I can just sort of skim through life, or I'm too old, this is for others. No such chance. The time is now, and ultimately the time is now. You know, we're right on the verge of a brand new financial year. Game on. The results for this last 12 months is phenomenal. Tick the box, or okay, where are the learnings? Never a situation where it was a shit year. Does that make sense? It's all about game on, line in the sand, off we go. 4 quarters, guys. Anybody can win a game as long as you're prepared to understand what win means for you. So succession planning, exit strategy, an awesome conversation. It's one that should be flowing in your blood and becomes part of your DNA day in and day out. Your legacy is to grow people that are going to be better than you at some point. Your legacy is about that. At some point, you don't need to turn up. At some point, there's people all over the world doing what you ultimately gave them a journey, a roadmap, an opportunity to do. Does that make sense? So that is the most important thing of building a succession plan business, or building something that's going to be defined as an exit strategy. If you don't have passion about what you do, the best thing you can do is get out. Because life is complicated enough, fair to say. Why would you be wanting to add to its complexities? Board of Directors 12, Diamond Club, private clients. We do business coaching. We have phenomenal partners in our organisation that we share. Accounting, financial services, marketing, real estate, cars, whatever you need. We have plenty of people that we can share as far as your successes and what they need going forward. Legal representatives. What we do is business coaching. We help people go from point A to point B, and we don't stop there. Does that make sense? So if you're ready about a point A to point B, Board of Directors 12, which is our pinnacle, this is our pinnacle point, is an awesome thing to consider. I'm not here to suggest that everyone should be doing that. It's not for everyone. And as much as you're evaluating us, we're evaluating you. We ultimately are building a community that's going somewhere in some place that's going to be very defined. It's part of our legacy. Hence why it's called M500 and not Business Benchmark Group, what we're doing here today. Some of you are not ready to start, and that's okay. But the point is, don't resist having a conversation. Does that make sense? Don't resist being curious. So there's a thing right here. This is where I finish, guys. There's a thing right here called curiosity. Right? There's a thing called curiosity. If I was to ask yourself, how do we move from point A to point B, and you sort of got to a point where you had some defined answer, the question now becomes, will you do it? Will you do something if you felt, if you feel, if you know it's aligned with where you're going? Would you make a decision? What sort of decision maker are you? That defines your legacy and your succession plan. Guys, and it goes back to Jim Rohn, don't wish it was easier, just wish you were better, okay? Work harder on yourself than you do on your job, and you just watch the miracle that occurs. Thank you so much. Hi, I'm Stefan Kazakis, and what an unbelievable message. I mean, I just love the fact, and it's just a way of life in fairness, make your decisions based on truth, not on fear. There's no such thing as, that's just okay, or let's just let something slip into mediocrity. The greatest resource in any team is an A grade. It is an A grade team. The greatest resource in any business is continuing to build and be committed to growing an A grade team. Everything we do is about a scoreboard. If we can just constantly be honest, be truthful, being open and honest, people are, not by design or by choice sometimes, they're either a plus one or a minus one. What are you doing as the leader to help people navigate through? Some minus ones can become plus ones. It just all depends on your plan and how you are leading and executing in your journey towards building an A-grade team. If you have passion and purpose, then you have power. I mean, just some brilliant points of reference. It just keep it really in check and grounded. How much passion do you have for your business? Is it a job or is it something you can't wait to get out of? What is your succession plan and your exit strategy? What is it that ultimately ensures that this business isn't limited by your glass ceiling? How is it that you're ensuring that there's a constant and ever continuing journey known as your business? So, it is so important to ensure that you're not in the way as the business leader or the business owner in terms of where and what your business may strive to and become. This business at some point will become so much greater than just you. Here at Business Benchmark Group, we partner business owners. We're in your corner. We're in your corner to ensure we're putting the flashlight on what is leverage to ensure that your journey, your endless journey, your ongoing journey. This is our adult life. Business doesn't finish. This is not school where we have a term break. This is business and it's life. It's ongoing, it's endless. What are you doing about continuing to grow your journey, your opportunity towards your business and life success? So at Business Benchmark Group, we help every business owner by being on their corner and ensuring that we are constantly keeping people true, not accountable, true to what is their endless and ongoing journey to business and life success. How do we move from point A to point B? Well, it's definitely not by sitting on your hands and doing nothing about it. It's definitely not about having your thumb in your mouth and crying in the corner of the room because procrastination has just got the better of you again. Think bigger, think better, do bigger, do better. Ultimately, have bigger and have better. I'm Stefan Kazakis from Business Benchmark Group. Put your hand up, attend our Business Breakthrough Workshop, introduce someone to our community that is yet to meet us. Let's do what we need to do here to ensure that you ain't the anchor and or glass ceiling in your small business. Business Benchmark Group, where every small business owner can achieve big business success.
For more information about Business Benchmark Group's coaching, education, and training programs, visit businessbenchmarkgroup.com.au or call 039001 0878. If you liked this podcast, please rate it on iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, and leave feedback as well. Stefan shares so much value in all his podcasts, and we encourage you to go through the archives and listen to other episodes of the Business Benchmark Group podcast. Thank you for listening.